Welcome everybody back to League Unlock. My name is Eric, and the power rankings, they just don't stop. We're into the top 5, which are, these are the serious contenders getting there, even though top 5 is really only half the league. There's only 10 teams. More teams make playoffs than don't make playoffs in the LCS, so, there's still a long ways to go. But for this squad, going to 5th place on the preseason power rankings is a massive jump, considering they are the 2-time 10th place finishers in the NALCS. We're talking about the Golden Guardians, and everyone spoke about Liquid in the offseason for having the best offseason, the biggest upgrades. But Golden Guardians, for me, actually had the biggest upgrade from where they were in the last split, because they, again, back-to-back last place finishes. They only had 9 wins total in all of 2018. They do some huge overhaul, 3 new players coming in for 2019, and I think you could say that all 3 of them are pretty decent-sized upgrades. Hauntzer, Froggen, and Ole are the new guys coming in. They only kept contracts and definitely from the 2018 squad. And if you start with Hauntzer, yes, he had a terrible 2018, probably his worst year as a professional, but I expect him to be much better than that. Some new scenery. He's going to be definitely reignited and remotivated after being cut by TSM, as we saw pretty much every other player that was cut by TSM. We're looking at Svenskeren and Doublelift in particular. They were definitely remotivated to perform well and prove to TSM that they made a mistake. And Hauntzer, along with Licorice now, is still one of the best domestic top laners. I think he will be an upgrade over Lorlo. Contracts is staying. Froggen is the biggest question mark on this squad, because what level are we going to get from him? We haven't seen him in the LCS since 2017. And we did see him at EU Masters, where he was actually very dominant, far and away the best mid laner at that event. But most of those players are not from major professional leagues, although Nemesis is now on Fnatic, and he was a part of that. But we know the EU mids are fantastic. So it was still some stiff competition. And if you remember the last time Froggen was actually in the LCS in NA, he was still putting up some insane numbers, and this will far and away be the best roster that he's ever had in the NA LCS. So I expect him to still perform pretty darn well. We had him at 4 on our mid laner rankings for NA. I expect him to be a top 4 mid here, and then definitely pairing up with Ole. The most interesting aspect of this new squad is definitely going to be how Ole and contracts work together. But Ole is definitely going to be an upgrade over Matt. And after spending a whole year with Doublelift, I think he can bring a whole lot of insight and help definitely grow. Because for how bad Golden Guardians were in 2018, definitely still put up some decent performances. I know people like to meme on him because he had the best KDA of anyone in the summer split, which is kind of insane for being on a last place team. And the meme was just that he was running around, not ever participating in any of these team fights. And his damage numbers were significantly lower than some of the top tier ADs in North America. But overall, I still think he had a pretty decent rookie split, and he's definitely got room to grow now with 3 pretty coveted veterans around him in Ole, Froggen, and Hauntzer. But if you're looking back at 2018, you remember Golden Guardians started 5-4, and they were at one point 1 game out of first place. And then we talked about CLG's disgusting 8-game losing streak, while the Guardians went on a 9-game losing streak. And during that stretch, pretty much nothing went well for them. They were terrible in the early game. They had no objective control and didn't really seem to know what to do during the late game. So nothing really went well for them. But I think bringing in, we know Hauntzer is a vocal guy, and on the split without Doublelift, when he was taking a break to stream on TSM, he really stepped up vocally and was one of the most talkative guys on that squad. I hope he gets back to that on Golden Guardians. I think they'll need that from him. Froggen historically hasn't been a guy that speaks that much, so he's probably not going to add that. But Ole is another guy who is extremely vocal. I think Ole and Hauntzer going to be the 2 most talkative guys coming onto this squad, and that's going to be a tough test for them to really kind of take this team under their wings. But a totally different looking Golden Guardians roster here for 2019, and kudos to them. Another huge change is obviously Coach Inero coming in. We saw what he did with Echo Fox. They were one of the best regular season teams in the NALCS, so I think he's going to be huge for this squad. He clearly knows how to get victories, how to lead a team to wins, and Golden Guardians, they probably match their 2018 win total alone in spring. I could see them getting 10 wins actually and finishing, 10-8 is probably good enough for 5th place in these playoffs for NA. So Golden Guardians going to be a huge change, and with all the changes going around them, for me, the player still to look at is going to be Contracts in that jungle, because he was definitely disappointing in the summer split. In spring, he actually wasn't that bad. He was still one of the better junglers in North America. Summer, he definitely fell off a cliff a little bit, but it's hard to be too harsh on him because of how lackluster a lot of the lanes were for Golden Guardians, specifically in that mid lane. I think Mickey was definitely underwhelming for the majority of the summer split. He had a few games where he popped off on some broken champions, but all in all, he was definitely disappointing, I would say. So bringing arguably one of the most consistent laners in the history of the LCS in Froggen is going to be huge for Contracts, as well as Haunter, who definitely, again, had a bit of Huni syndrome in the summer split, specifically getting caught out way too much. But I think those two solo lanes are definitely something that Contracts can play around, and he's got a lot more veteran leadership. I think he was playing better in spring solely just because he had a guy like High leading him and kind of helping him along the way. They definitely lost those leadership qualities in the summer split, and that's why I think we saw Contracts dip off quite a bit. We still know this guy is mechanically insanely gifted, and I think he's going to showcase here that he's a top 4, maybe even top 3 jungler again in 2019, which is what we saw out of him in Cloud9. He's still only 19 years old. He's still learning. He's still developing as a player, and bringing in all these veterans around with the Golden Guardians is going to be paying dividends for him getting back to his form. And Ole and Contracts, Ole's going to be roaming a whole lot more on this Golden Guardian squad. He's not with Doublelift. He doesn't have to focus solely on the laning phase, and that's when he was at his best on Immortals, when he was running around, setting up vision with Xmithy. I think Contracts and Ole will be one of the best support jungle duos that we'll see in North America in 2019. Golden Guardians are a meme no longer. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.